Kim Taehyung, a 29-year-old CEO of Kim Interior, and Kim Y/N, a 26-year-old interior designer from a middle-class background, entered into an arranged marriage facilitated by Taehyung's father, Mr. Kim. Both accepted the marriage happily, despite their different social standings. After their marriage, Y/N left her career to focus on her new role as Taehyung's wife. Tragically, Mr. Kim passed away 8 months after the marriage, which marked a turning point in the family dynamics. Before his death, Mrs. Kim and Taehyung's twin sisters, Heejin and Erin, were warm and welcoming towards Y/N. However, after Mr. Kim's passing, their behavior shifted drastically. The family's disappointment in not having a male heir became increasingly evident. As Y/N became pregnant with their daughter, Aryam, she noticed a subtle shift in the family's behavior, but chose to overlook it. After Aryam's birth, the behavior of Mrs. Kim and her daughters grew more hostile. They became critical of Y/N for giving birth to a daughter rather than a son and began to taunt her behind Taehyung's back, labeling her a gold digger and disparaging her middle-class origins. The situation worsened when Aryam turned 3 months old, and Taehyung became increasingly absorbed in his work. Mrs. Kim, disapproving of Y/N's attempts to resume her career, fired the household cook and forced Y/N to take on all cooking and kitchen duties. Mrs. Kim and her daughters actively sought ways to make Y/N's life difficult, including sabotaging her work and creating additional burdens. Y/N attempted to confide in Taehyung about the mistreatment she was enduring. However, Taehyung was confused by her claims and suggested that she should address any problems directly with his mother and sisters, implying she might be mistaken. The escalating tension reached a breaking point during a party hosted by Mrs. Kim, where Y/N was required to cook for around 20 people while dealing with Aryam's teething and fever. Overwhelmed and exhausted, Y/N found herself in a confrontation with Mrs. Kim. When Mrs. Kim left Aryam unattended, Y/N intervened to care for her daughter, resulting in a heated argument. Mrs. Kim's harsh insults and the dismissal of Y/N's concerns culminated in Y/N packing her essentials and leaving the house with Aryam. Taehyung, upon learning about the incident from his sisters and mother, was initially misled by their lies. Despite his confusion and sleepless night, he decided to visit Y/N's mother to understand what had truly happened. The truth about the family's cruel treatment was revealed through a recorded conversation Y/N had saved, which showed the harsh and insulting behavior of Mrs. Kim and her daughters. Taehyung, deeply shocked and hurt, confronted his family and rejected their manipulation. He decided to make amends with Y/N and move forward together. He surprised Y/N with a new house, one that matched her dream design from college, symbolizing his commitment to their happiness and acknowledging her sacrifices. They began a new chapter in their lives, away from the toxic influence of Taehyung's family, with a renewed focus on their love and family. Y/N, stirring pots and pans, looking exhausted. This is going to take forever. Cooking for 20 people and taking care of Aryam. I don't know how I'm going to manage. Aryam, 6 months old, is crying in her crib in the next room. Her fever is making her more irritable than usual. Y/N, hearing Aryam cry, rushing to the crib. Oh no. Sweetheart. Let me pick you up. Y/N, to Mrs. Kim, can you please help me with Aryam? She's been crying for a while, and I need to finish cooking. Mrs. Kim, disinterested, it's just a girl. Let her be. I'm busy with my guests. Y/N takes Aryam out of the crib, struggling to calm her down. After some time, she manages to put Aryam back to sleep. Mrs. Kim, turning, annoyed, what is it now? Y/N, frustrated, I asked you to help with Aryam. She was crying, and you just ignored her. What if she had fallen? Mrs. Kim, raising her voice, I'm busy with the party. And it's not like you can't handle it. The food isn't ready either. Everyone's waiting. Y/N, defiant, my daughter needs me more right now. Mrs. Kim, furious, you're unbelievable. You can't even manage to get the food ready on time, and now you're complaining? Maybe if you weren't so poor and didn't give birth to a girl, we wouldn't have these problems. Y/N, hurt and angry, how dare you? You're calling my mother a gold digger and insulting me for having a daughter? Mrs. Kim, slapping Y/N across the face, you need to learn your place. Y/N, stunned and hurt, packs her essentials for herself and Aryam. Mrs. Kim's shouting continues in the background. Mrs. Kim, screaming, make the food, or everyone will know what a failure you are. Y/N leaves the house with Aryam, and the guests, witnessing the commotion, also start. Taehyung receives a call from his sister, who urgently asks him to come home. Sister, panicked at Taehyung, you need to come home right now. There's a problem. Taehyung, worried, what's wrong? Is it Aryam? Sister, hesitant, just come quickly. It's a mess. Taehyung arrives home to find his mother and sisters crying. Taehyung, concerned, what's going on? Why is everyone so upset? Mother, sobbing, Y/N was rude and insulting. She's always been trouble. You need to deal with her. Taehyung, skeptical, I find it hard to believe. Y/N is not like this. His sisters and mother continue to feed him lies about Y/N's behavior. Scene, Y/N's mother's home, living room, Taehyung arrives at Y/N's mother's house. Y/N is surprised and distressed to see him. Y/N, shocked, Taehyung, what are you doing here? Taehyung, nervously, I wanted to talk. I'm trying to understand what happened. Y/N, angry, you need to hear everything. Let me show you something. Taehyung, shocked, listening to the recording, I can't believe this. This can't be true. Y/N, crying, listen to it as many times as you need. I want a divorce. Taehyung leaves, devastated. Y/N's mother tries to console her. Y/N's mother, gently, divorce might be a hasty decision. Think about Aryam. Do you want her to grow up without a father? Y/N, sobbing, it's so hard. I don't want Aryam to have the same life I had. Y/N's Taehyung returns home to find his mother and sisters still upset. He plays the recording for them. Taehyung, angry, this is what happened. Why is Aryam a sinner because she's a girl? Why is Y/N a failure for marrying me? Mother, defensive, that's not what. Taehyung, furious, I'm done with this. I can't believe you would treat my family like this. I'm leaving. Taehyung walks out, leaving his family in tears and with feelings of hatred towards Y/N. Taehyung returns to Y/N's mother's home to apologize and make amends. Taehyung, pleading, I'm sorry, Y/N. I should have listened to you. Y/N, tearfully, why didn't you believe me? Taehyung, guiltily, did you push me to this? Did you tell me they were bullying you for having a daughter? Y/N, silent, tears streaming down her face, I tried. I thought you'd understand. Y/N's mother, intervening, it's all a matter of miscommunication. Taehyung was too. Y/N, angrily, you're always too busy to hear me. Taehyung, sighing, I've been preparing a surprise for you. It's been 5 months, not 3. Y/N, curiously, what's the surprise? Taehyung, smiling. Taehyung and Y/N have lunch together with her mother and Aryam. Afterward, Taehyung takes them to their new house. Taehyung, as they leave, let's go home. Y/N, stopping, I don't want to go back to the Kim mansion. Taehyung, smiling, then let's not. We'll go to our new home. They arrive at the new house, and Y/N is overwhelmed with emotion as she sees it for the first time. Y/N, stunned, this is everything I wanted. Taehyung, gently, I saw your scrapbook and made it real. This was going to be your. Y/N, tearfully, I can't believe it. Thank you. Taehyung, holding her close, I'm glad you love it. Let's start a new chapter here. They explore their new home, feeling hopeful and excited for the future. A year has passed since Taehyung and Y/N moved into their dream home. The house is filled with joy and laughter. Taehyung and Y/N are playing with their lively toddler, Aryam, who is now a mischievous 1-year-old. Taehyung, laughing as Aryam tries to grab his nose, careful, little princess. You're growing up too fast. Y/N, giggling, watching Aryam's antics, she's definitely keeping us on our toes. Look at her go. Aryam, giggling and reach. The camera captures the warm and happy atmosphere of the house. Taehyung and Y/N are clearly content in their new life, their bond stronger than ever. Y/N is preparing a meal while Taehyung is playing with Aryum in the kitchen. They are talking and laughing together. Y/N, turning to Taehyung, can you believe how much she's grown? She's starting to say more words now. Taehyung, smiling, I know. It feels like just yesterday we were bringing her home for the first. Taehyung's phone buzzes with a call from his mother. He glances at it and then puts it back down, ignoring it. Y/N, noticing, still not answering her calls. Taehyung, sighing, I'm just not ready to deal with it. I need to focus on us and our family. The camera shows Taehyung's phone screen, showing multiple missed calls and messages from his mother. The mood is somber at Taehyung's family home. His sisters are sitting together, looking distressed. One sister is holding a news article about her recent fertility issues, while the other is reading a letter from her in-laws about being cast out. Sister 1, tearfully, I can't believe this is happening. I was so sure I'd be able to have children. Sister 2, sighing, and now I'm living alone after they kicked me out. They said it was because I didn't give them a son. Their mother, Mrs. Kim, enters the room, looking tired and regretful. She takes a seat, her face. Mrs. Kim, softly, maybe I was wrong about everything. I push Taehyung and Y/N away and look at what's happened. Sister 1, angrily, what do you mean? Mrs. Kim, sighing, I thought we were right to treat Y/N badly, but now I see the consequences. Sister 2, my own children are suffering for apologies. They're living their life without us, and we're left with our own mistakes. Mrs. Kim, with remorse, I never realized how much harm I caused. Maybe it's my karma catching up to me. The camera shows Mrs. Kim alone, staring out a window, reflecting on her actions and the consequences they've brought upon her family. Back at Taehyung and Y/N's home, the family is enjoying a peaceful afternoon together. Taehyung picks up Aryum, and Y/N joins them, smiling. Y/N, contently, I'm so glad we made the right choice. Look at how happy we are. Taehyung, hugging Y/N and Aryum, me too. The camera pulls back to show the happy family, their home filled with love and laughter. The scene fades out with a sense of peace and resolution. End of epilogue.